Hi everybody, this is Algebra 1. The date is April 1st, 2020, and this is YouTube video number 2. Today's topic is we're going to be solving quadratics by factoring. Your next assignment is due next Wednesday, April 8th by midnight. The assignment will be available on Alex for you to work on today by 2 p.m. We're going to talk about quadratics. The most important thing you need to know about quadratics is they all have a largest power of 2. I'm going to show you an example that's already worked out. You do not have to graph your problems, but I want you to understand that all equations with a power of 2, like this one, x squared minus 2x minus 8, they make a happy face, like the one drawn, or they make a sad face. We have been practicing factoring so we could solve these. X squared minus 2x minus 8 factors into x plus 2 times x minus 4. The reason we factor problems is it breaks it into 2 easy problems rather than one complicated problem like the original is. You take the 2 factors, x plus 2, and you set it equal to 0, x minus 4, and you set it equal to 0, and then using your algebra steps, you subtract 2 from both sides and you get one answer is x equals negative 2. From the other equation, you get x equals 4. I wanted to show you this graph because these answers mean something. The two answers, negative 2 and 4, are actually where the happy face crosses the x-axis. So this equation makes a happy face, which are actually called parabolas, that crosses at positive 4 and negative 2, which were our two answers. I am going to give you 3 examples and show you how to solve these. Today, on the problems, you do not have to factor them. They are already factored. All you have to do is be able to extract the answers from the parentheses, and I'll show you what I mean. Your first example is x minus 7 times x minus 2. And they're all going to be equal to 0. As you can see, that is already factored. You don't have to do that step today. Once you have a factored problem, remember you take the 2 parentheses and you set each one separately equal to 0. Solve them both, add 7 to both sides, and you get x equals positive 7. And then this equation, you add 2 to both sides, and you get x equals 2. You do not have to graph your answers, but those would be where this equation crosses the x-axis. Example number 2. That was a very nice, clean example. The next one's a little bit more complicated, but still, you don't have to factor it. That part is already done for you on today's problems. 2x minus 1 times x minus 4 set equal to 0. Those are 2 equations. We break them apart. The first one, 2x minus 1 equals 0. The second one, x minus 4 equals 0, and then we solve them and we're finished. This has 2 steps, but you've solved lots of 2-step equations. You add 1 to both sides, and I'll put the step in here, and you end up with 2x equals 0 plus 1, which is 1. Last step is almost always divide, and we get x equals 1/2, and that equation's done. The second equation, you could skip all the steps if you want to, but the step is to add 4 to both sides, and we get x equals 4. Power of 2 always means you're going to have 2 answers. Example number 3, which is the last example. Again, we get to start with a factored quadratic. Quadratic just means power of 2. 2 minus x times 1 minus 3x equals 0. Same steps as the other two examples. Break them into two problems. 2 minus x equals 0. 1 minus 3x equals 0. Solve them separately and you're finished. This is a positive 2. So I subtract 2 from both sides. And we get negative x equals 0 plus negative 2 is negative 2. Remember, when we have a negative on both sides, it changes the signs. So our answer is x equals positive 2, and there's half of your answer. The second one's got two steps in it also. You have a positive 1, so I put a minus 1 and do it to both sides. I get negative 3x equals, put the 0 and the minus 1 together, you get negative 1. Last step is divide. You're going to get a fraction for this one, and that happens on some of these problems. Two negatives, your answer is going to be positive. You're dividing by the 3, so your answer is going to be this 1 divided by that 3, and you get 1/3, and the problem is solved. They really don't get any harder than that. On Monday next week, we'll have to actually factor them ourselves, but today they start off factored. A side note, the answers to these equations have several names. I'm just going to tell you what they are. Sometimes they're called x-intercepts. They're called zeros sometimes. They're called roots. They're called solutions. So you may see all those words pop up, but they all mean the same thing. They mean the x's. Thank you very much.